that it's a wonderful opportunity to once again get this opportunity to just share with us on what God wants for us, because God has been faithful. We have experienced Him, and we've had a wonderful time also, I should say, since we started. Personally, I can say that. And we are talking about family life. As we talk about family, my biggest concern or my burden this hour is we need to have wonderful families. We need to have blessed families. But I've been asking myself, what are some of the things that make us have challenges in our families? What are some of the things that give us the bottlenecks in our families? There are so many things that we need to look at our various levels in our families and ask ourselves, how can we be able to sort this? Because if we do not correct some of these challenges that we are having, then we end up with a situation whereby we are in our families, but we are surviving in our families. There is a child somewhere who sits at home and feels like, when will I grow up so that I leave home? Now that child doesn't love that home. That child is, what I would say, barely surviving in that home. There is a husband somewhere who looks at their family setup and they're feeling like this is too difficult to handle. Why must I remain in this marriage? And so a number of people have heard say this, for the sake of the children, I will stay. Are you married to the children? For the sake of the children, I will stay. Yet there's also another category that says, oh no, it's too much, I'm leaving. But I've wanted to know, why is it that in the initial stages of every family, most people come into the family and they love the family. But as time goes by, you either grow to love the family more, or you can be forced by circumstances to resent the family and all that. And that's why I thought today that at times what gives us challenges in our families are communication barriers. And communication comes in several ways. When I was at the university, we were being taught about communication. We were taught that there's what you call verbal and non-verbal communication. In other words, speaking is not communication. Talking is not communication. Communication is what goes out, what is the feedback. And I feel like many a family would really run well if we were communicating well. Allow me to begin by taking us back to the text we know and we love in the book of Genesis. You see, God tells Adam, where art thou? And the other day I told us, let's not be people who are fond of excuses. When Adam is asked, where art thou? Adam is supposed to say, Lord, here I am. And admit what you've done. But Adam gets to the point of wanting to explain and starts by giving excuses. And the excuses are what gives him the problem. And we see the first communication breakdown when a question is asked. Rather than answer the question, you try to give an explanation to what was meant to be your answer. In Genesis 1, in fact, I think I want to title this evening's presentation as "Listen to what I am saying." Just listen. I think I've come to learn so many things in marriage. I'm one of those people who can really talk and talk and talk, and at these moments, my wife would stop me and tell me, "Listen to what I'm saying," and she wants me to listen fast. And well, once in a while, I've been a beneficiary of wonderful listening. After you've listened, you find it was better for you to have listened first. At times, I think also I allow my mind to run faster than it should be running. And so I'm providing a solution even to what I have not been asked. And so I'm thinking at times, listening could be wonderful. Don't you think? There is some young person in a family who is troubled by so many things, and before we say anything, it would have been good for us to listen to what they have to say. In fact, the Bible says, doth our Lord judge a man until it heareth him? In other words, the art of listening is wonderful. Listening allows us to be able to synthesize what is a challenge and get a response to it. Listen to this in the book of James chapter 1. I'll get back to Genesis, but let me start from James chapter 1 as I grow into this. In James chapter 1, reading from verses 19, it says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Then it goes ahead to say, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Wherefore, lay apart all filthiness, superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. But be ye doers of the words, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So here, as you walk through the text is saying, be ye hearers of the word, and not doers. Doers of the word, and not only hearers, deceiving yourself. And when you continue to walk into this, it says that you need to be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. What would happen to our families if we were slow to speak, we were swift to hear, and we were slow to get angry? You know, we get angry so fast. Somebody offends you and you get angry and you snap. But it could be that at times, before we snap, we should have first given it some time. And that's why when you look at this, the Bible is very clear on this. And that's why today I've just titled it, listen to what I'm saying. Because it seems like everyone wants to communicate, but nobody wants to listen. And it could be that some of the challenges that we have in our families are as a result of too much communication with very little listening. Very few people are interpreting and picking what is being spoken. I told us I wanted to go to Genesis. Or let me land in it. Genesis chapter 3. And they heard the voice of God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid from the presence of the Lord amongst the trees of the garden. Could be a good point in time for a preacher to ask the question, as a family, are you hiding from the presence of the Lord? You, your children, your spouse, are you hiding from the presence of the Lord? You know, so many people, we find ourselves in a position where we are hiding from the presence of the Lord. We are literally running away from God. And listen to what God asks him. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? Question is, where are you? Answer, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. Now listen to that. It means the question has been simply asked, where are you? But rather than respond to the question of where are you, he says, I heard your voice, I hid myself. And this, I heard your voice, I hid myself, means he did not take time to synthesize what was there. Heard your voice, hid myself. I was feeling guilty about something. And this could be one of the reasons we are having some challenges at family levels. You hear the voice, you hide. And you see, when this happens, in most cases, it means you did not take time to appreciate what you are being asked. So I want to walk through this and try to look at certain things in terms of communication, because I feel in a family, everyone is communicating. When a small child is crying, that is communication. When a wife is nagging, That is communication. When a husband comes and he is mad at everything and is hitting everything, he's communicating in some way. When you see spouses are working together and they are holding hands, they are communicating something. When you see even teenagers behaving to be more loving than married people, they are communicating something. In fact, I found it funny when somebody was saying, if you see two people in a vehicle, one is seated at the far end and the other one is seated at the far end, probably they are married. If you see two people in a vehicle and they look like everyone wants to hold the gear lever, these ones are likely to be dating. But I wonder, what is the big difference between the time when somebody is dating and the time they are married? And why is it, by the way, that in the 21st century, it seems like those who are not married know how to express themselves in love more than those who are married? But what is even more interesting is those who are married, at one point in time, they were also expressing love in those ways. The older generations were writing letters. Present generation are doing all these other things on social media and all that. But everyone is expressing love in some way. And that's why I titled this, Listen to What I'm Saying. Because it could be that one of the reasons we are not doing well is because we are not interpreting well what people are saying. I loved the book of John the beloved apostle. Listen to what he says in 1 John chapter 3 and reading from verses 18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. So he's speaking about love, but he's saying, I'm going to show you how you need to love. You need to love in deed and in truth. Somebody categorized them in this wise, and let me just share the categories that he gave. And the person who categorized said that there are 5 languages of love. And when he was talking of 5 languages of love, he put them as the first one would be words of affirmation, there's quality time, there's receiving of gifts, there's acts of service, there's physical touch. But you see, while talking of languages of love, what in essence the person was saying is, there is a way in which we all communicate. And this will help us at family level. This will help us in our marriages. This will help us in dealing with our children. Why? Because if for instance you believe your child loves gifts, then you say, me, I'll just spend time with you. You can spend all the time you want, but this kid is interpreting a totally different thing. And it's the same way, there are kids who are showered with gifts every time and they don't seem to be understanding why are these things being brought. There's a father somewhere who is spending so much money buying gifts for the son when the son simply needs the father to be present and talk to him about the things of life. So there's a teenage boy somewhere who doesn't even know how to handle ladies. This teenage boy wants the dad to sit him down and tell him, how do you deal with ladies when you're bombarded with ladies? You've gotten into adolescent, you feel so strong and everything, you're attracted to ladies. What do you do? That boy needs you to tell them what they need to do. And what are you doing? You're buying them an iPhone. So what happens? The boy is saying, listen to what I am saying. You're saying, here it is. Pick that iPhone. I am busy. And then we've had situations whereby we get to a point in time where parents are asking, but what more could have been done to my child that I did not do? Why is it that my child has turned out to be a bad boy and yet I spent so much money on him, I sent him to the best schools? You may have sent him to the best schools, but maybe what he needed was not being sent to the best schools. Maybe what this child needed was you sitting there and being the best school at home to teach him how to survive out there. So we spend a lot at times when we don't even communicate well. There's a spouse somewhere who feels like you're not paying attention. And that could be the challenge, whereas the wonderful things you do are all appreciated. There is food in the house, there is everything, and we are not going hungry. But the thing is, you are not speaking. You're not listening to what I am saying. I am shouting something, but you're not getting it. And that's why when we look at it, I'm getting convinced with time. I'm getting convinced with time that families would be more intact. Families will be in a better place if families will be able to do the right thing of listening to each and every family member. Nowadays, I like preaching and giving the example of my daughter because I don't want to give example of people's children. People will think I am attacking their families. But I've seen my daughter. There are moments my daughter comes to me. And when my daughter comes to me, I'm in the middle of something and I feel like this thing is serious. Maybe I'm responding to some text, or I'm handling something on my phone. And my daughter comes to me and my daughter picks my phone and puts it aside. Then she just jumps on me, wants to sit on me. By the way, at times I have to admit, at times it looks like it makes no sense. Anyway, with the time I'm getting to learn, it makes more sense because she rarely has enough time with me because of the nature of work and everything. And so when she comes and just sits on me like that, well, previously I used to overlook it. Nowadays, some sense is running into my head and I'm thinking, this kid is telling me one thing. This makes more sense to me than any other thing. Daddy, you brought food, but that's your role as daddy. Now, I want you to play your role, not just in bringing food, but there's also me feeling that you are present. So I've come to look at it, and that's why when I was talking about listen to what I'm saying families will grow better if families can listen to what each and every member of the family is saying. And that's why I thought through it and felt like we need to speak something about languages of love. Because could be that some of the challenges we are facing is because we are not communicating in the right language. Somebody is saying this, the other is saying this, but what is coming in? As I said, I'm going to categorize them into 5 languages. This was a study that was done by someone, but it's proving to be true. I'm going to categorize them in 5 languages. The first language of love, I'm looking at what we call words of affirmation. You see, when we're talking of words of affirmation, we must ask ourselves, what does it mean? Words of affirmation. It means somebody would want to hear these words. In terms of actions, what comes out in words of affirmation as a language of love? Spoken words, written cards, writing letters, comes out so clearly. What are we communicating? We are giving encouraging words. We are giving compliments. We are having an affirming spirit. Now that comes very critical when somebody picks words of affirmation seriously as a language of love to them. So it means when they say action speaks louder than words, but there's somebody to whom words is more serious to them. In fact, that compliment which you've made on what they have done will mean the whole world than even the action of what you're planning to do. When words of affirmation are a language of love that speaks to a child, when you say to that child, that was good, it means a lot. You can say, but they know that they've done a good thing. They know they performed well in school. No. This child may have performed well in school, but when you say, my son, that was wonderful. Words of affirmation mean a lot. to those whom this actually holds everything. In fact, hearing these things will make the person to really feel good. But you need to understand, if somebody's language of love, what speaks love to them, what makes them feel loved is words of affirmation. This same person, there are certain things that you should not try to do around them. Watch one thing. Avoid harsh words. Undue criticism will not work well with somebody who values words. There's somebody to whom the words are going to be serious. So you may think you cracked a joke, but that sarcastic comment went deep. Because it means so much. In fact, I've looked at words. Words, but the words are powerful. Words are powerful. You know, I'm speaking of words of affirmation in what they mean to somebody. But I've come to note that words are really powerful. Listen to what the Bible says about words in the book of Matthew, chapter 12, and reading from verses 36 and 37. In Matthew 12, 36 and 37, the Bible says, take heed, not take heed, sorry, but it begins by saying these words, but I say unto you, Matthew 12, 36, but I say unto you, that every idle word that a man speaketh, they shall give an account thereof in the day of judgment. By your words you shall be justified. By your words you shall be condemned. Every idle word. And as I speak about this on words of affirmation, when you are communicating to somebody whom love is spoken by words of affirmation, they just need to hear that. Did Christ experience words of affirmation? Certainly. Listen to the thief on the cross. Let's go to the book of Luke. And I just want you to understand, this is powerful. I love the way the book of Luke puts it. And this is Christ upon the cross. He's in pain. He's feeling so bad. He's feeling like everyone has rejected me. The disciples fled from him. And people have told him, if you are the Christ, save yourself. And it gets to a point when he's feeling like this is tough. Did he need words of affirmation? Listen to this. And this is Jesus speaking. The Bible says that when Jesus is hanging upon the cross, one of the malefactors, Luke chapter 23, reading from verses 39, and one of the malefactors which hanged railed on him, saying, if thou be the Christ, save thyself. If words of affirmation are serious to you, undue criticism, non-constructive criticism, not recognizing or appreciating effort affects you. And Christ upon the cross hears hypocrites and sinners telling him, if you be the Christ, save yourself. And another thief hanging on the cross, a thief says to him, if you be Christ, save yourself and save us. What would you have done if you were Christ? Imagine, and by the way, let me tell you, you see, there are moments somebody tells you, if you're a man, slap me. Hey, if you're a man, don't slap that person. Because they don't know. Men can control their hands. Men are not given directions. Slap and you slap. Men, when somebody asks you if you are manly enough, slap me. Resist. That is now being manly. Anyway, that was a digression. Let me come back to the text. But the other thief, answering, Luke 23:40, rebuked him, saying, dost thou not fear God, seeing that thou art in the same condemnation? Words of affirmation. There's a thief who is calling Jesus God when Jesus is upon the cross. There's somebody who is saying that he is not God. Now listen to this. And he says, and we indeed justly, for we receive the due rewards of our deed. But this man has done nothing amiss. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest in thy kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, verily I say unto you, today, I tell you this today, thou shalt be with me in paradise. Jesus had to suspend death when he heard this encouraging word from the thief. Words of affirmation. Words can mean a lot. What actions do you take with words of affirmation? let me speak to the married. At times it's nice to advise married people. I think once you get married, you feel nice speaking to the married. And married people, to those whom words of affirmation mean a lot, an unexpected text just written out of the blues will mean a lot. A card just written out of the blues will mean a lot. And encouraging somebody genuinely, by the way, if words of affirmation means a lot to someone, then one of the things that will really mean bad to them is the moment you lie to them. You say what you don't mean. You'd rather mean what you say than say what you don't mean. Now, that may be tough, but speaking under inspiration, it's just good to tell you what the Holy Spirit is convicting me to share with you, because I don't know if it will help your family. If your spouse loves words of affirmation, then you can always come and just remind them, you are smart today. That statement means a lot. If they tried to get a new dress and you admit that, I love that outfit, now that means a lot to them. Somebody hearing you saying, thank you very much for making me a better person, that means a lot to them. Somebody hearing you say, you are my dream come true, that means a lot to them. In fact, you've seen this thing, and I don't know why I feel like I said earlier, I feel like the young people who are dating, they have bigger words of affirmation than the married. By the way, I don't know about you, but some of you are going to respond to me one day and tell me, what do these things that I am saying, do they apply only to those who are newly married and those who are young, or they also apply to the old? And if you want to know it's serious, by the way, spend some time and look at even these old people. Old people at times tend to behave like they're too serious with life, but they also like it when somebody tells them that, you know what, you are a very good teacher. You are a very good doctor. If it was not for you, I would not be where I am today. The advice you gave me was wonderful. Look at it. How many people, after they've spoken, they would want to hear people say, that was a wonderful speech. And let me tell you, if you want to hear people say that was a wonderful speech at your workplace, that same husband who comes home, if at the workplace they are told that was a wonderful speech, you, when they come home, the first thing you do is to tell them that you are a very useless person. Now, compare those two. He will be very useless at home because that is what you see. But if they are told you are a very wonderful boss, let me tell you, when they come home, remind them you're the best daddy to my children. Words of affirmation. And I can continue over and over. Words mean a lot to some people. And to those whom words mean a lot, speak those words. It will help our families. Let's not be too rigid to comment. By the way, I think at times, speaking is wonderful. How can you see somebody has spent time and gone and Googled recipes and prepared food nicely? Then the best you can do is to eat the food and keep quiet. Why can't you just admit, I have never eaten something like this? This is serious. They're called languages of love. And if you want to understand, let me tell you something. I've come to see, and I was telling, if you've gone through the earlier presentations, I think in an earlier presentation, I was saying that it is easy. When the Bible says, husbands, love your wives, now today I am teaching you how to love. You'll ask me, preacher, you're speaking on what authority? On the authority of the word of God. Because, listen, this same person who never tells the wife you are smartly dressed is willing to tell the secretary that they are smartly dressed. Why? It means you know how to say that word. It's only that you're keeping quiet on it. So I think when we understand this, And that's why I've told us that this thing cuts across board. There is a child who feels wonderful when you tell them, thank you for being the best child ever. I thank God for you as my child. That child feels nice. In fact, that child, you don't need to really struggle with that child to tell that child. By the way, it's been tough. It's been tough with parents. And I'm speaking to parents. Some have a bit elderly children. And I will tell us that it's been tough when children are growing and they see a father who is a tyrant. A father who wants to get into the house and everyone runs away. You're that kind of a father. You never even tell your daughter, I love you. I've even told people, I remember there's a time I was doing a seminar. I was doing a seminar with the ambassadors. And I was telling the ambassadors, you know what? I want you to write this text to your parents. Tell them I love you. And when they wrote, some parents wrote back, I love you too. Other parents were asking, what is it that you want? Why? And that's why some young ladies are getting impregnated by boys, because the first person to ever tell them I love you is a boy. You never told them. Why? If this speaks love to your child, go tell your child I love you, so that even no matter what a boy will tell them, a man will tell them, they will know, even though you are saying it, you may not mean it. My dad already told me that. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because our families can be better. There's some children who are they just want to hear you tell them, you're good. Let me tell you, even a child who is pathetic like what has some good trait. Thank them. Tell them, you know what? I thank God you're alive. Just thank them for that. I've talked to people, I've advised people on this, and I tell you, go tell your children you love them, and parents will sit back and say, hey, it's difficult. Now, how do we start? But let me tell you, the moment you don't tell your daughter you love them, somebody who is a stranger, who doesn't even recognize Jesus, will pick the word I love you and will tell your daughter, and chemical reactions will happen in your daughter, and your daughter doesn't understand what's happening. Preacher, come slow. Okay, let me talk about another language of love. But preacher, we have several languages of love. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about them. Let me talk about something else in the language of love. I said the first one I was handling, which I wanted to just share with us as a language of love, is what we call words of affirmation. But let me talk about something else beyond words of affirmation. Let me talk about another language of love called quality time. You see, in words of affirmation, I'm telling you, even a boy who is failing in class, at least they're alive. Tell them, thank God you're alive. One day you will pass exams, my child. I know you. You have potential. You have potential. And let me tell you, by the way, I've come to see it. Let me give you an example. I like giving an example by myself. Let me tell you, when I was going to sit for exams, my father, when I was going to sit for my KCS CPE exams, my father, I was asking my father, which school should I select and all that. My father had so much faith in me. In fact, at every point in time, he will speak of me as though I'm going to pass exams. And you know what? I passed exams. Words are powerful. But let me talk about quality time. You see, time is a resource that all of us have equally. None of us has 25 hours. We all have 24 hours. I am busy. I have to admit that. As a person, at times I feel I'm very busy. But we all have 24 hours. But quality time is demanded by family members. So let me talk about quality time. You see, in the vernacular of quality time, nothing says I love you like full undivided attention. Being there, being for this type of a person is very critical. But really being there with them. In fact, I have come to learn about quality time as a husband. I remember the moments when my wife would just come and tell me that, you know what, I think you love your gadgets too much. But the question is, you feel like, but I'm trying to sort out certain things. But what she's asking for is a piece of my time, quality time. Well, I have to admit, I've been struggling to create that time. And by the grace of God, after this sermon, I hope to create even more time. Because I've always said, these things are deliberate. You don't sit somewhere and quality time will fall from the sky. It doesn't fall from the sky. You create that time. And for that reason, you see, somebody who values quality time would mean that I just want you to spend time, not distracted. Let's just talk nothing at that time. Distractions, absence on a daily basis. You're supposed to have a date, and then something comes up, you are too busy to have a date. It becomes difficult. But quality time really means a lot to those whom that speaks love to them. Somebody needs quality time. You know, quality time is not just time. I love the fact that the word quality has been added. Quality time, how do you communicate to such a person? By offering undivided, focused conversation. One-on-one time is very critical. Not general. In fact, quality time, I'm beginning to understand, as I was doing my study, I'm beginning to understand that quality time is not even we are with friends. It can even be we are alone. Just the two of us. Everyone shut out. And I'm beginning to think this is wonderful to help us grow as families. I told people the other day that COVID is good. I loved it. I loved it when... I think my family is just humorous at times. At times, some of the things we say in our house is just humorous. I loved it when my wife was saying, I thank God you don't have meetings on Sundays. Nowadays, if you want to have meetings, you will have them on Zoom and it's over. Because she values that quality time. And so, for that reason, I try so hard at times to just create time. Be available for family. And just block. In fact, there are days I've had to block an entire Sunday. And I say I'm not available. Why am I not available? I will be running around doing things with family. Why? Because I've come to learn. And as I've said, some of these things, I'm not speaking as a guru in them. I'm speaking as one who is on job training. You know, on job training is wonderful. And as I've always known, we've all been given certificates when we get married. You're given a certificate, then you're expected to go on job training and be successful. Quality time. And in talking about quality time, what actions can we have when quality time is what speaks to your spouse? Now listen to this. You create special moments together. You can take a walk. You can do some small things together. Weekend getaways mean a lot. I don't know whether my family speaks all the love languages, but my daughter is somebody who loves quality time. And I think my wife and daughter, they've been picking on that. Everyone wants you to give them undivided attention and serious at that time. And just take some time together. But what are the things that would really make it difficult? What are the things that we need to avoid if our spouse, if your child values quality time, what are the things to avoid? Avoid distractions when you're spending time together. That's why, as I've told you, my daughter will see me. My daughter wants me to listen to some of these nursery tunes and such with her. And she wants me to jump about, dancing to head, shoulder, knees, and toes, and falling down when it is too fast. And my daughter wants me to do that. And when she sees I am distracted, she will pick whatever is distracting me. So I'm learning that quality time doesn't value distractions. And let me tell you, there are children, I believe, who are suffering because they lack quality time. There's a child somewhere who feels like they are not loved because their parents don't have quality time with them. I love it when parents make words like this, that, you know what, so what will I talk to my children if we are to sit down? We have nothing to talk about. And let me tell you, I think that's the reason, even as parents, try and get updated with the things that the young people talk about, so that you can touch base with them. If you find that your daughter loves football or your son loves football, even if you don't love football, go and Google something about football so that you can just sit down. Not that all the time you're seated down, you're just discussing what were your marks. Right now, they're not going to school. That's why you have nothing to discuss with them, because you are specializing in discussing subjects. Right now, if you start discussing with your child about mathematics, they tell you, but why am I discussing mathematics? I will do exams in January or February. But you see, get to know, what do they like? And that's why I'm saying, if they love football, get to know a little bit in your own free time at your workplace. Google something about football and footballers. And when you're coming home, you can be able to have a chat on football. Talk about, did you see the player who was bought? I think that purchase was not good for your team. And get to know, when your child is supporting a given team, get to know about that team so that you can be able to make some comments which are right concerning that team. And your child will feel like, I see, you care about me. Spend time together. If your spouse likes talking, you need to be there. Spend time together. And quality time, by the way, quality time is one of the reasons you see we are talking about create time to be in church on Sabbath. Quality time. I have come to understand it. Let me put it this way. You see, if you are married, quality time means you even purpose to have dates. You just create some time and you say, we need to have some date. Quality time means you can organize for road trips. You just get into a vehicle and drive nowhere. Quality time means you can sit down and just do nothing. Do nothing. Just sit down, talking nothing. Quality time means you can join in recreational activities together. Quality time means, and I've seen it, if your spouse loves football and they're sitting down to watch football, even if you don't understand football, you sit down and watch with them. That's quality time. Not that you say, okay, when the game is over, wake me up. That's quality time. Quality time. Quality time is the reason you can decide to be dropping your wife at work and picking your wife so that you spend enough time together, more time together. It's possible for you to use a M3 and the other one uses a M3, or use one vehicle, the other one uses another vehicle, depending on what you have. But quality time means we can decide to say, what time are you leaving work? I'm leaving at 5:30. Okay, I'm extending up to 5:30 so that we can leave work together. I love it when people look at us, and at times they feel like, you people, you're still in honeymoon phase. But let me tell you something. If you think it is honeymoon phase, quality time will make you value so much the presence of people as you grow older. So start valuing it right now. What are some of the things you can do when your spouse loves quality time? Put away Facebook, Instagram, and social media for some time and spend time, face each other, and talk. I'm going to challenge us after this. Let's try and implement it. What can you do? Go somewhere and read for your kid things. Quality time. If your child values quality time, sit down. Teach your child mathematics. Don't tell your child, why are you failing mathematics? Tell your child, bring that mathematics. I want us to do it together. Mathematics is interesting. That's quality time. And quality time means I'm not listening to you while I'm doing other things. I can stop other things, listen attentively, and then do the things afterwards. Quality time means in the evening you can take a walk. I know some of us, you will say, but we live in the, nowadays everywhere is polluted. We can't take a walk. Please, even walk in your house. Quality time. Just do something together. Do something together. But the quality time can be as good as you and your spouse. You're at work. You surprise your spouse. You just, over lunch hour, you just go and then you have lunch together and then you come back. Quality time is wonderful. And when I say quality time is wonderful, I mean it because these are things that we need to do. And that's why you see, when you're looking at Jesus, and Jesus is talking to Martha, and says, Martha, Martha, thou art troubled about many things. He valued quality time. He said, Martha, you're troubled about many things. Mary has chosen the right thing. Sitting at the feet of Jesus is not just a song. Quality time with Jesus is much better than going and doing all the other things for Jesus. He says, I want you to sit at my feet. That was quality time. Not just jumping up and down, but just putting things aside. Do we have to do things? Yes. But I just put it aside. Another language of love, since I'd mentioned a number of them, I think it would be good for me to talk about others as well. Let me talk about acts of service. Acts of service. Going out to do something. Things that you do to ease the responsibility and burden on others. It means a lot when someone goes out of their way to do something for someone else, especially when it's a sacrifice. Acts of service mean a lot, and they can help the family. Families may be crumbling down, but when you can be able to sacrifice, let me tell you, acts of service would mean there is this mother who decides to wake up very early in the morning so that he can prepare a meal and ensure that you, who is going to work, has packed lunch. That's acts of service. And it means a lot. Acts of service. Acts of service would mean, this is one of those things I normally say, and I've always asked people, what are your hobbies? I have so many hobbies. One of those hobbies that I've had to be contained since the time when we got somebody who is assisting us in the house. But one of my hobbies is washing utensils. Just doing dishes. But it turned out to be an act of service, which meant a lot to my wife. And I think I used to find it interesting. Because for me, as long as there is water, there is soap, I can wash all the dishes and feel nothing. I'm not forcing husbands to go wash dishes. But when it means a lot, what does it change in you? Nothing. In fact, I was almost going back to the other text which we like reading from the book of Kings about washing dishes. As a man wipeth dishes. And let me tell you something. If acts of service mean a lot to somebody, that's why you find there is somebody to whom it will really mean a lot that you just decided to wash the car. It means a lot to them. It means a lot to them that you decided to run errands for them. It means a lot to them. If they wanted to buy something from the supermarket, you took them to the supermarket and you bought things for them. It means a lot to them. That's acts of service. So if acts of service mean a lot to somebody, you assist them. Somebody has something that they have in their mind. It's a project they're thinking about, and you're coming in and putting it together, helping them to go about it. It means a lot to them. Somebody who loves acts of service. These are now the people to whom action speaks louder than words. In fact, acts of service can at times be misinterpreted. Communication is very key, and that's why for acts of service, the best thing would be ask somebody what they would want. Don't just do things thinking you need to love it. After all, even the preacher said he does dishes. No, there is somebody who doesn't want you to do dishes. Maybe all they want you is to ensure that your shoes are not left at the door. They are always brought to the shoe rack. Maybe. Acts of service. The things that we need to avoid in acts of service is laziness. Doesn't help. Somebody to whom acts of service is what speaks to them. Don't be lazy around them. It kills them. And that's why there are even some people who feel like their colleagues at work are more hardworking than you. You're being compared with colleagues at work because the colleagues at work are showing love by acts of service. Here they have a deadline to meet and the colleague is assisting them to meet that deadline. You, what do? Nothing. They come at home, they need to finish something. Instead of helping with the other things so that they can pay attention on this and finish with it, you're not assisting. Acts of service. And acts of service, by the way, you see, when we reach out, that's why it's normally blessed for you to go out. Look at it. And I'll tell you, this is biblical. Matthew 25. What does Matthew 25 talk about? Listen, and there's just acts of service I'm talking about. In Matthew chapter 25, and reading from verses 35, it says, "For I was hungry and you gave me meat. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, you took me in. Naked and you clothed me. I was sick, you visited me. I was in prison and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When did we see you a stranger and took you in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to thee? And the king shall answer and say, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done to one of the least of my brethren, you have done it to me." And beloved, this thing should not be used only in going to do your work as a deaconess. Before you become a deaconess who goes and donates clothes out there, offering acts of service in the church, cleaning the church, do the acts of service to your husband at home. Do the acts of service to your children at home. I've always said, I don't want to be called elder chief at home. I don't want. I want to be recognized as this wonderful daddy, wonderful husband. I want to represent Christ in the best way. Let them not. You see, the moment your child refers to you as elder at home, there's something wrong. It means the only thing we see about you is back there. My child should be able to come and jump on me even when I am just from preaching. She's my child. My child cannot behave too serious with me. As you know, my dad is normally serious. You take him, you don't joke with him. That's my child. What my child should know better. Acts of service. One of the things that kills acts of service, broken commitments. If you can't do the things that you'd committed to do, better not even commit to do them. Because at times you may end up giving more work to the person whom you needed to assist. Giving more work will not be good for somebody to whom acts of service means a lot. Forgetting promises will really mean a big deal to somebody whom acts of service speaks a lot. Overcommitting on tasks will mean a lot to somebody whom acts of service means a lot. And ignoring. But you can always speak and ask them, what can I do for you? Acts of service means when you're coming, you can always be told, kindly branch by and pick for me this. And you say, okay, I will stop and pick it. Acts of service will mean you can go and put up a checklist and say, I need to do for you 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, life is wonderful when you are in love and when you are loved. And that's why our title for the presentation today was Listen to What I Am Saying. Let me finish quickly. I have just 2 more, and these ones look easy. The other language of love is gifts, receiving gifts. When receiving gifts is a language of love to somebody, gifts and gestures that are shown, that are given, show that you are known, you are loved, and you are cared for. They thrive on thoughtfulness and effort behind the visual representation of love. So it means whatever the item is brought shows that you are thinking about me, you cared for me, and that's why you know I exist. A child who loves gifts, you can sit with them the much that you like, but please ensure you don't forget the gifts you promised them. We made amends with my dad on this before he died, but I used to tell my dad, because I remember this time when I was younger than this, and my dad promised me that don't worry, when you become number 1, I will buy for you a bicycle. I became number 1 and my dad didn't buy a bicycle, and for over 15 years, in fact more than 15 years, close to 20 years, I still remembered that my dad promised me a bicycle and didn't buy it. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal. One day I was talking to my dad, and my dad and I, we used to be very candid with each other. We would just talk about anything and everything. Those of you who have listened to me preach know that I always say I'm one person who even went and put my dad down and told my dad, tell me how you got my wife, your wife, who is my mother. So we used to talk about everything. So one day I just tell my dad, Dad, you know what? You've never lied to me, but there is one promise you didn't fulfill. You didn't buy for me a bicycle when I became number 1. Now my dad came and told me that there's a reason I didn't buy for your bicycle. He explained it. He told me afterwards. I said, it's good you didn't buy it. Those who had bicycles right now don't even have bicycles. They're walking on foot. It's good you didn't buy it. You wanted me to get something bigger than a bicycle. But for somebody whom receiving gifts mean a lot, get for them the gifts. And that's why you see, flowers mean a lot to some people. Vegetation is important to some people. Get for them the vegetation. But they don't be like these Happy Sabbath boys who come up with these arguments that, oh, why buy flowers that are going to wither? Why not buy for them spinach which they can eat? Who told you they wanted to eat? They're losing weight. They're struggling to lose weight. You want to buy spinach. Buy for them the flowers which they need. Because that speaks love to them. And then that's why when gifts mean a lot to somebody, a memento would mean something much. Getting for them something, one of their favorite things that they love, or taking them for a trip to a place which they have always longed to go to, or anything they've ever said, hey, I wish one day I get this. I wish one day I get this. Get for them that. And above all, give them the gift of yourself. That means a lot. But let me tell you something. The best gifts are the ones that are most meaningful. If you struggle to know what gift to get, then just ask the person, what gift do you want? Like for me, I always say I'm a very difficult person to gift. You don't need to surprise me with gifts. Ask me what you want to get for me. But let me tell you, for somebody whom gifts speak love to them, please give them thoughtful gifts, not thoughtless gifts. Don't just give gifts for the sake of it. Don't go and pick some things out there and bring them. You will be more disappointing than never having brought a gift. In fact, this is where we come to the point of forgetting birthdays and anniversaries. If your spouse or your child speaks this love language of gifts, don't forget their birthday. You better even forget yours, but don't forget theirs, because you're going to have a hard time. It's going to be heavy on you if this is their love language. Remember the anniversaries. In fact, I love technology. Technology has made it easy. Nowadays, Facebook reminds us of your birthday before even we remember. So we always forget your birthday, but at least Facebook will tell us that, you know what? Remember, it is the birthday. So we can come and pretend like we were very active. We knew about it. But this is what I'm saying. Don't forget, because that means a lot to somebody whom receiving gifts is a language of love. Give them gifts, give them time. Remember special occasion, give them small tokens here and there, and work on private giving of the gifts, please, and facial expression. It means a lot to them, just to put a smile on their face. But remember, if receiving gifts means a lot, avoid materialism and forgetting special events. Don't be materialistic. Don't be materialistic. You can spoil them. You can make it be bad. But one thing that you can do, which will be very wonderful, is always do that which will speak well to them. Don't pick a gift, as I've said. There's a friend of mine who said this, and it was funny. It was funny. The spouse said that, you know what? There is some gift that your brother brought for us. That brother of yours, that gift, I've always kept it here. I'm waiting for him. Imagine a gift. So thoughtless gift, you'd rather not even have brought a gift. Let me finish with the final language of love. And by the way, gifts, even God gave. That's why the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave. He gifted the world. It says in Romans chapter 3, reading from verses 23, that the wages of, that is not Romans 3, but I mean Romans 6:23. It says the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God, the gift of God. So this language of gift is a language that even God himself will speak. So let me tell you, spend time and speak languages that God can speak. And that's why in your families, for you to be better, learn to gift each other. Gift each other even with your presence. Just tell them, I'm your gift, but be a good gift. And also, spend time. Think out of the box. You don't necessarily have to do it the way I do it, but do it anyhow. Do it in the best way that will speak love to your spouse, to your child, to your mother, to your father. Speak it. Gift them. Just telling them, this, I thought of you, Daddy, and I gave you this. It will mean a lot to them. And most of the challenges we have will come to a close. Allow me to put this to a rest in the next 5 minutes. There's another language of love called touch, physical touch. This language of love, physical presence, accessibility is very important. These people love to receive hugs, pat on the back, holding hands, just being near people and hearing you talk to them. And that's why you'll find married people, there's somebody to whom being kissed will mean a lot. Holding hands and all that. And by the way, I always wonder, why is it that this gift of physical touch, those who are not married tend to even want it more? If your spouse, this is their love language, please, when you go to church, sit together. Don't sit one person on the other end, the other one on this end. And why is it that youths who are not married, when they understand this language of love, they sit together all the time? To people whom this is a language of love, even the act of marriage becomes a serious thing for them. But the things that will really hurt them is neglect and abuse of any kind. Abuse of any kind. Be it emotional abuse, be it physical abuse. Please, and let me tell you, let me say this without fear of contradiction. As a child of God, and you're listening to the word of God, never beat your wife. Never beat your husband. Even if they annoy you like what, don't fight. Families, please, don't do it. It's not nice. It's bad. Don't fight. Restrain yourself. If you feel like beating somebody, just go out and beat yourself. But don't beat your spouse. Somebody was not born by somebody else to come to your house so that you beat them. But let me tell you, I know you're going to ask me, but preacher, you know, this is family togetherness. So what do we do with children? Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. The rod of correction will drive it away. If that child does a foolish thing, beat them. But let me tell you something. Do it in the right way. Don't let them feel like they are being persecuted. If physical touch means a lot to your child, don't make them feel they're being persecuted. Make them feel loved. That's why, let me tell you something. Your child should know that when you commit that offense, I will cane you. But let me tell you, I love you. And so on a normal time, just give them a hug. Tell them I love you. Let them feel that you love them. So that they know daddy normally canes me when I do a wrong thing because he doesn't love the wrong thing. But for me, it doesn't hate me. Touching with love can be an emotional lifeline to reach your spouse. Always remember that. And let me tell you something, as I finalize on this, on physical touch, physical neglect, long stints without intimacy for couples, receiving affection coldly are things that you should avoid when your spouse values physical touch. If your spouse values physical touch, hugs, kisses, holding hands, showing physical attention regularly, intimacy, a thoughtful priority should always come in. And we should know that non-verbal use of body language or touch will emphasize on love. Let me tell you something. As a children of God, God would want us to share love because God is love. Listen to what I am saying. We need to listen to our family members and learn to communicate with them. Let me tell you something. What have I got from today's message as a preacher? One of the things I have got, there are things I need to do to help my family grow. If it is creating quality time, I will need to create quality time. If it means I have to hug my daughter, I have to hug my wife, I will have to do that because it means a lot to them. If it means I have to watch my words, I will not speak harsh words to them because words of affirmation mean a lot to them. If it means acts of service, I've always told people, by the way, for me, I don't know. I don't know even where I was carved from. My mother knows, she gave birth to me. But there are certain things that to me, I just don't find them difficult to do. What is the problem with changing a baby's diaper? Nothing. Nothing. It's simply helping the baby. And it doesn't make me less of a man. I will still preach. If I have to preach, I'll go to my workplace and work. But the thing is, my daughter knows Daddy will take care of this stuff, even if I mess up. Acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gift, quality time. Let's express love. People are yearning in our families and saying, listen to what I am saying. Listen to what I want. And we are not giving them what they want. We are giving them what we want for them. That's why I said, and I'm giving as a warning as I close, that there are some youths who are going to get spoiled out there. Why? Because the father did not spend quality time with the child and went to make money for them. So the child has money to spoil himself, to get spoiled, when quality time would have helped them. I'm not saying we don't make money. Make money. But don't do it at the expense of your soul, of your spouse, of your children. Let's not do it at the expense of family. Lord, save our family. Help us to listen to our families. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you very much. May you bless us as members of the families in which you've put us. Help us to represent you well. That's my prayer. God, there are several ways in which people can express love. Help us to express love in those ways, that people may hear that these families are lovely families. And God, there can be smiles in families if everyone was receiving love. And that's why, God, we've just tried to unpackage how to speak this language of love, because people are crying. There are young people who are saying, my parents are not listening. There's a spouse who is saying, my wife is not listening. There's a husband who is saying, this wife cannot listen even if you talk to her. But God, please help us that we may be able to communicate out of love, is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. The Lord bless you all, and the Lord keep you safe.